slowly. Henry was the only hope. Henry was definite. He might know of some paths in the chaos that were hidden from them, and she determined to take Tibby's advice and lay the whole matter in his hands. They must call at his office. He could not well make it worse. She went for a few moments into St. Paul's, whose dome stands out of the welter so bravely, as if preaching the gospel of form. But within, St. Paul's is as its surroundings, echoes and whispers, inaudible songs, invisible mosaics, wet footmarks crossing and recrossing the floor. Si monumentum requiris, circumspice. It points us back to London. There was no hope of Helen here. Henry was unsatisfactory at first. That she had expected. He was overjoyed to see her back from Swanage, and slow to admit the growth of a new trouble. When they told him of their search, he only chaffed Tibby and the Schlegels generally, and declared that it was just like Helen to lead her relatives a dance. "That is what we all say," replied Margaret. "But why should it be just like Helen? Why should she be allowed to be so queer, and to grow queerer?" "Don't ask me. I'm a plain man of business. I live and let live. My advice to you both is, don't worry. Margaret, you've got black marks again under your eyes. You know that's strictly forbidden. First your aunt, then your sister. No, we aren't going to have it. Are we, Theobald?" He rang the bell. "I'll give you some tea, and then you go straight to Duchy Street. I can't have my girl looking as old as her husband." "All the same, you have not quite seen our point," said Tibby. Mr. Wilcox, who was in good spirits, retorted, "I don't suppose I ever shall." He leant back, laughing at the gifted but ridiculous family, while the fire flickered over the map of Africa. Margaret motioned to her brother to go on. Rather diffident, he obeyed her. "Margaret's point is this," he said. "Our sister may be mad." Charles, who was working in the inner room, looked round. "Come in, Charles," Margaret said kindly. "Could you help us at all? We are again in trouble." "I'm afraid I cannot. What are the facts? We are all mad more or less, you know, in these days." "The facts are as follows," replied Tibby, who had at times a pedantic lucidity. "The facts are that she has been in England for 3 days and will not see us. She has forbidden the bankers to give us her address. She refuses to answer questions. Margaret finds her letters colourless. There are other facts, but these are the most striking." "She has never behaved like this before, then?" asked Henry. "Of course not," said his wife with a frown. "Well, my dear, how am I to know?" A senseless spasm of annoyance came over her. "You know quite well that Helen never sins against affection," she said. "You must have noticed that much in her, surely." "Oh yes, she and I have always hit it off together." "No, Henry, can't you see? I don't mean that." She recovered herself, but not before Charles had observed her. Stupid and attentive, he was watching the scene. "I was meaning that when she was eccentric in the past, one could trace it back to the heart in the long run. She behaved oddly because she cared for someone, or wanted to help them. There's no possible excuse for her now. She is grieving us deeply, and that is why I am sure that she is not well. Mad is too terrible a word, but she is not well. I shall never believe it. I shouldn't discuss my sister with you if I thought she was well. Trouble you about her, I mean." Henry began to grow serious. Ill health was to him something perfectly definite. Generally well himself, he could not realize that we sink to it by slow gradations. The sick had no rights. They were outside the pale. One could lie to them remorselessly. When his first wife was seized, he had promised to take her down to Hertfordshire, but meanwhile arranged with a nursing home instead. Helen, too, was ill, and the plan that he sketched out for her capture, clever and well-meaning as it was, drew its ethics from the wolf pack. "You want to get hold of her?" he said. "That's the problem, isn't it? She has got to see a doctor." "For all I know, she has seen one already." "Yes, yes, don't interrupt." He rose to his feet and thought intently. The genial, tentative host disappeared, and they saw instead the man who had carved money out of Greece and Africa, and bought forests from the natives for a few bottles of gin. "I've got it," he said at last. "It's perfectly easy. Leave it to me. We'll send her down to Howard's End." "How will you do that?" "After her books. Tell her that she must unpack them herself. Then you can meet her there." "But, Henry, that's just what she won't let me do. It's part of her, whatever it is, never to see me." "Of course you won't tell her you're going. When she is there looking at the cases, you'll just stroll in. If nothing is wrong with her, so much the better. But there'll be the motor round the corner, and we can run her up to a specialist in no time." Margaret shook her head. "It's quite impossible." "Why?" "It doesn't seem impossible to me," said Tibby. It is surely a very Tibby plan." "It is impossible because—" She looked at her husband sadly. "It's not the particular language that Helen and I talk, if you see my meaning. It would do splendidly for other people, whom I don't blame." "But Helen doesn't talk," said Tibby. "That's our whole difficulty. She won't talk your particular language, and on that account you think she's ill." "No, Henry, it's sweet of you, but I couldn't." "I see," he said. "You have scruples." "I suppose so." "And sooner than go against them you would have your sister suffer. You could have got her down to Swanage by a word, but you had scruples. And scruples are all very well. I am as scrupulous as any man alive, I hope. But when it is a case like this, when there is a question of madness—" "I deny it's madness." "You said just now—" "It's madness when I say it, but not when you say it." Henry shrugged his shoulders. "Margaret, Margaret!" he groaned. "No education can teach a woman logic. Now, my dear, my time is valuable. Do you want me to help you or not?" "Not in that way." "Answer my question. Plain question, plain answer. Do—" Charles surprised them by interrupting. "Pater, we may as well keep Howards End out of it," he said. "Why, Charles?" Charles could give no reason, but Margaret felt as if, over tremendous distance, a salutation had passed between them. "The whole house is at sixes and sevens," he said crossly. "We don't want any more mess." "Who's we?" asked his father. "My boy, pray, who's we?" "I am sure I beg your pardon," said Charles. "I appear always to be intruding." By now Margaret wished she had never mentioned her trouble to her husband. Retreat was impossible. He was determined to push the matter to a satisfactory conclusion, and Helen faded as he talked. Her fair flying hair and eager eyes counted for nothing, for she was ill, without rights, and any of her friends might hunt her. Sick at heart, Margaret joined in the chase. She wrote her sister a lying letter, at her husband's dictation. She said the furniture was all at Howards End, but could be seen on Monday next at 3 p.m., when a charwoman would be in attendance. It was a cold letter, and the more plausible for that. Helen would think she was offended, and on Monday next she and Henry were to lunch with Dolly, and then ambush themselves in the garden. After they had gone, Mr. Wilcox said to his son, "I can't have this sort of behaviour, my boy. Margaret's too sweet-natured to mind, but I mind for her." Charles made no answer. "Is anything wrong with you, Charles, this afternoon?" "No, pater, but you may be taking on a bigger business than you reckon." "How?" "Don't ask me." End of chapter 34.